How we doing today, folks? It's your boy, Big Daddy Stones himself, and this is going to be the first edition of what right now we're calling movie news with moi, Joseph Stones. And I'm just going to kind of go try every Thursday, go through what's going to happen in the week. Obviously, I'm not going to touch upon everything. It's just going to be different movie news, comic book news, all that jazz. If there's anything you guys particularly want us to cover, hit us up in the comments, let us know. And I'm going to start off with something that really interests me. And Nicolas Cage is going to have a role, live action, as Spider Man. And it's because they're coming out with a Spider Man Noir television series. Now, if anybody who doesn't know what Spider Man Noir is, if you've seen the first Spider Verse movie, it's a comic book series in that vein. They did a whole different line with different Marvel characters, but the Spider Man one is like you saw him, black and white detective, has vaguely the abilities that Spider Man does, but it's set, I believe it's the 20s or the 30s. And it's pretty dope. And like the unique setting could obviously add to some really creative storytelling. And let's be honest, anything with Nick Cage in it himself is pretty dope. Um, I believe this will be on Amazon Prime. Now we don't. It's just called Noir as of right now. I'm not sure if they're going to end up going into some of the other characters that they had in different comic book series, but I think it's going to be a really interesting take, and let's give it a nice little roll. The second thing I want to touch upon, and I don't know if anybody else has been watching this over the last 3 years, but Superman and Lois, awesome take, and it's the last standing of the CW DC series, and even though you had some characters that reprise their roles from the CW DC universe, like the Arrowverse and Flash and all that, it's technically in an alternate reality. So for the last season, it is moving to a new time slot. It's going to be on Thursdays, 8 o'clock. It used to be on Tuesdays. I've really dug this show and what they've done with it. It's almost like an adult Smallville without the camp, but it's pretty dope. If you don't haven't watched it yet, it's on CW. The CW Seed, I believe, is the free app. You can go back and watch all the old stuff. Check it out. It it's awesome, man. Like it really is a great version of it, and it's Greg Berlanti's last CW show that's alive. What 10 years after Green Arrow debuted, and let's be honest, nobody thought that show was going to go anywhere, and it spawned a whole universe. And then this, I think, is super cool. We are getting what is called Terminator Zero. It's an anime that's going on Netflix, and it's touching upon the whole Terminator franchise. And just like Garrett's video yesterday, Terminator is a classic. I personally love T2 better, but everybody's got their own favorite flavor, and for me, T2 is the better. But with this, it's let's see what it says here. There's a bunch of different characters from the old stuff that could show up. I'm not even sure the time setting, but let's be honest, it's Terminator and it's a cartoon. I am going to watch the shit out of this, and if you're anything like me, you probably will too. This is the thing I'm probably most excited about because I didn't think this was going to happen, and now it's going to. My favorite MCU Disney Plus show, which this might be surprising to some people, was Hawkeye. I think it's phenomenal, and it is the most underrated MCU show out of all of them because Hawkeye, his character, if you really think about it, even though he's the greatest shot in the world and everything, he besides Black Widow, he doesn't have any powers, and he rode with Iron Man and Hulk and everybody else and he didn't care. He didn't give a fuck. He was like, all right, whatever, I'm in. And I think, especially everything that happened after Endgame, to see where he was, to see him deal with the consequences of him being Ronin for those 5 years, really showed how human he could really be. And Hawkeye season 2 has been green lit. So I'm gonna give you the rumors a little bit here, and let's see what it says. Um, so we had the Kingpin as kind of the overall villain in the first one, and obviously Haley Steinfeld, who also plays who? Come on, guys. Gwen Stacy in the Spider Verse movies. So it looks like Hawkeye's been renewed for a second season. Clint's brother Barney will play a major role, and the season will be inspired by The Raid. Now, anybody that is unfamiliar with the movie The Raid, it's an Asian martial arts movie that essentially starts with this guy has to go into a building at the bottom, and he fights his way all the way up to. So it's going to have Kate and Clint stuck in one location, essentially going after his brother, who is the swordsman in, I believe that's what he's called, the swordsman in the Marvel Universe. And he was a bad guy, and a lot of people don't know that. No, it was Trickshot. That's what he was, Trickshot, not the swordsman. So the swordsman was her mom's boyfriend, husband, whatever in the first season. But he was a bad guy, and he originally in the comics had convinced Clint to be a bad guy. Clint was a bad guy, fought Iron Man. Clint had a change of heart, became a good guy. So we have. When is this gonna come? Doesn't say, but Disney has also said that they're only going to do like 2 shows a year going forward, and I think 2 movies a year. So they're going to cut down on content. They say that, but let's be honest. Disney is the closest thing that we have to the IRS in the movie and entertainment industry. Anything they put out is printing money. And they're all about the money, right? The mouse wants the money. And speaking of MCU, there has been a little bit of a rumor with all the hubbub behind the scenes with the new Blade reboot. Now, there was a script, there was a director, they stopped production, all that stuff. But there was rumors, and take this with a grain of salt, that the original Blade star, Wesley Snipes, returned in the MCU. Now, the only way I can really see this is when they do Secret Wars, they bring him back. But let's see what we have here. We've been hearing reports of the original Blade. Now, this is from comicbookmovie.com. That we've been hearing reports the original Blade star Wesley Snipes might be set to return to reprise the role of Blade. Now, let's see. However, recent rumor claims Snipes returns Blade is signed off to do some stuff in the multiverse. So it seems this might be true because Wesley Snipes sent out, was it a tweet or an X or whatever the hell they are, and it's just the Marvel logo. And it was a rumor that he from Screen Geek that he shared showing that he was returning. I think we're going to see him in Secret Wars. I think we're going to see a lot of the old actors back in Secret Wars. I think we're going to see the Spider-Man. We're going to see the Fantastic Fours. We're going to see everybody. I'm kind of hoping for a scene with Chris Evans as Captain America, with Chris Evans as Human Torch, and like they DH one or whatever. And like they're like, well, you're a good looking dude, and stuff like that. And now something else that I'm really down with because I love the games. I wasn't a fan of the original movies. Love the reboot movie, and kind of mad that it didn't go anywhere. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge is set to go on Amazon with a Tomb Raider live action series. Now we don't have any. Dude, Amazon has just been just crushing it with the series that they've been coming out. You got The Boys, Gen V, Invincible. Now we just had Fallout coming out with Tomb Raider. They had all the Lord of the Rings stuff. They're coming out with another season, Search of Gollum. But if they do what they've been doing and with a Tomb Raider series, it could might, in my opinion, surpass Fallout as the greatest video game adaptation series ever. I know that's a hot button topic for some people, but for me, it's just how I feel. Fallout was awesome. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, and go on Peacock, watch Twisted Metal, watch all the support all this shit, guys. Because at the end of the day, the more we support it, the more of it we get. And I know me, Drew, possibly Garrett, or Drew and Garrett, without me, depending on our schedules, we're gonna go do more in an in-depth review of X-Men '97. And anybody who didn't watch it, who was a fan of the original animated series, I'm going to say this right now, and I don't want you to take super offense to it, but fix your mistakes because you're dumb. Go watch it. Finale was yesterday, and it has set up so many different strings. And one of these strings is something I saw about halfway through the series. Spoke to my brother-in-law about it and a couple other people, and I was like, they're setting up Onslaught, man. They're setting up Onslaught. And if you haven't watched the finale or anything pertaining to X-Men '97, right now would be a perfect place to stop this video and stop listening to me because I'm about to spoil some shit for you. And I don't like spoiling it because I don't like being spoiled. So, 1, 2, are you still here? 3. I knew I could tell they were gonna pull Wolverine's adamantium. They were gonna yank that shit right out the pores, and they pretty much did it as a perfect panel homage to X-Men 25. And for those of you who haven't read the comics or anything, that started the seeds for this years long build up to Onslaught. Those of you who don't know who Onslaught is an entity that was created when Professor Xavier wiped Magneto's mind. And in doing so, part of Magneto's persona merged with Professor Xavier, and originally it was in Xavier's body, but later on it was almost retconned as its own entity altogether. And since really Secret Wars, this was like the first whole company crossover. Like you had every single hero and villain involved in some way with the Onslaught saga. And I must have been 8 or 9, possibly 10 when all this happened. And it was dope as fuck. And anybody who hasn't read it, I'm sure there's trade paperbacks. You can go online, the Marvel Unlimited app. But, so the X-Men '97 showrunner, who no longer is attached to the show, we'll see if that's fixed. But Bo DeMayo has teased what his plans for Onslaught in the revival and confirms that Morph has romantic feelings for Wolverine. So, anybody didn't know that? It's been kind of a little bit of a controversial thing they've done with Morph. It really doesn't matter. He's a shapeshifter as it is. But they are considering him that he is just they, a them. And I actually think in the show they refer to them as they or them. But at the end of the day, they're showing that he's got some love for or they have some love for Wolverine that maybe we didn't expect. But we're definitely going to go more in depth with that, hopefully in the next couple days. But it's your boy Stones. I'll hit you up next week. Any questions, comments, anything you want me to go in a little bit more in depth in its own separate video, hit us up in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your mom's mom. That'll be your grandmother, depending. But nowadays, who knows? Deuces.